Hi everyone, my name is Bob and I'm a cheap old fart. I like to do DIY jobs around the house for a couple of reasons. I don't like to pay too much, and I kind of like the satisfaction of knowing that I can actually fix some of this stuff. That I have a great advantage over some of the old timers in that I have something called YouTube that allows me to go out, research some things, try to figure out how to do it, and more often than not, I seem to have some success. Note that, hey, I'm just an average homeowner. I am not a professional. Sometimes we work with water, we work with electricity, we work with some things that, could be dangerous to you or to your home. So just know that you're doing this stuff at your own risk. I'm not a professional. If you want to try it, fine. If not, that's fine also. Hi folks, cheap old fart here. We're in the basement of our home, and we noticed something the other day after we had done some work on some of these ceiling tiles that we have here. We have a drop ceiling down here, which makes it kind of nice to access any of the water lines or electrical stuff up above this ceiling. But we noticed over here that we have some water stains on one of these brand new tiles. So obviously we have a water leak somewhere. So today we're going to take a look. Maybe we're going to see where it's leaking from, and then try to determine what it is, and we'll get to work on that. So come along for the ride. We'll see what's going on. Okay, so if you take a look up here, I've removed a couple of these ceiling tiles to expose the area that we wanted to look at. I have a sneaky suspicion that it has somewhere to do with the kitchen sink area upstairs. So what I've done is I want to kind of get an idea of the orientation of things. So if we take a look up here, you'll see that this right here is the drain that's underneath the sink, okay? But if we come over here and look, it appears, you'll see that we have these dark spots right here, and that appears to line up with the rings that we had in the ceiling tiles. So what we did is, so we know that it's 2.5 feet maybe or so from the drain. And what we did is I came up here, I started pounding on the wet area while my wife was upstairs trying to orient where this was. And it appears that we may have a problem with our dishwasher. So let me put all this stuff back together. We'll head back upstairs and we'll start to take a look at that. Okay, so based upon what we saw downstairs, my first guess is that it's something to do with the dishwasher. So the other day, in preparation for what we're going to do, I actually went down. There's some panels underneath here that I needed to move out of the way so that I could pull this out of here. These are the panels that I removed. And one of the things that I noticed is that the bottom of this insulation here was wet. You can see evidence that it's been getting wet down there. So I think we're on the right track. We'll go in here. The intent now is to pull this out. I'm hoping that I can pull it out far enough to where I can run the dishwasher while it's sitting on the tile, not back underneath there. Then we can see, maybe try to take a look under there, see where it's leaking from, or whether it's leaking from the back. We really don't know. So next step is to pull that out. We're going to do that off camera, get everything ready to go. We're going to turn it on and see what happens. Okay, so we've got this out about as far as we can get it. The electrical connector is about as taut as I want to get it. But we did take a look around here over on this side. One of the things I did want to look at is I wanted to make sure that, we didn't have any evidence of mice or anything that might be chewing on some of these plastic lines, because that can happen sometimes. So I don't see any evidence of anything back here, which is good. Glad about that. Next step is to go ahead and run the dishwasher. And we'll see what happens, and hopefully we'll be able to see underneath it enough to see where we can tell where the leak is coming from. So that's our next step. Okay, so I'm taking a look at it now, and I could tell that it's leaking around where the water line is coming into the dishwasher. If I take my fingers and I rub it around here, I can feel where it's wet. Okay, so it appears to me that it's at this junction between this plastic blue piece and the copper right here. So if you take a look, I don't know if you can tell from my fingers, but you can see on my fingers that it's wet. So we at least have a leak there. It's not very big, not very large. But we're going to let this thing go for a little while, see what happens. But I believe this is where our problem is, and we should be able to take some Teflon tape, tighten this up a little bit, and we should be able to fix this without too much difficulty. So that's where we're at now. We'll check back with you in a few minutes. Okay, once again, it seems like we are dealing with water and plumbing type things. So we did find out where it was leaking. Next step is to turn off the water, and the water line is underneath the sink here. If you see where I'm pointing, you can follow this braided line, and you can see that the braided line here actually goes through the cabinet over to the dishwasher. So first step, I'm going to turn the water off to the dishwasher, and then we'll get underneath the dishwasher and we'll unhook the coupling that is leaking. So we'll go ahead and turn this off, and then we'll go from there. So, okay, the next step is to get underneath here and find out where that braided line is actually attaching to the dishwasher. So if you'll see here, like we said before, there's a copper line that's attaching to a blue plastic line here. That's where this fitting is leaking. In fact, I can still feel the wetness here. So we'll go ahead and see if we can't get that undone. I'll grab a wrench and then we'll go from there. Okay, I'm using a small channel locks here to see if I can't break this loose. Couldn't do it with my hands. So it looks like, it looks like it's loose now. And we'll see if I can get that separated. Okay, I can use a, okay, voila, it's separated now. So let's take a quick look at that, see if we can see if there's an O-ring or something inside of there that we need to pay attention to. So let's see if we can see inside there. I don't have much light, so okay, I don't see anything in there. There is an O-ring in there. Okay, we'll need to inspect that O-ring to see if there's any problems with it. If there's any gaps in it or slices in it or anything like that, then we'll need to address that and replace that O-ring. If it still looks good, then we can just put some Teflon tape on the plastic fitting, and then we can reattach it. So we'll take a look at that O-ring, see how it looks, and then our next step will be to either replace that or to put on the Teflon tape. Okay, at this point we've taken a look at the rubber gasket. The gasket looks fine. This is really not too old, our dishwasher. I mean, anytime you're in here and if you have a gasket that is old or dried out, not a bad idea to go ahead and replace it. I think at this point, I think it's going to be fine. I'll just proceed with the Teflon tape, and we'll see if that takes care of our issue. Okay, so like I said, the next step is to actually put the Teflon tape or plumber's putty, whatever you have, around these plastic threads on this blue fitting here. So that's what we're going to do. I may enlist my wife to help me because my big hands are very difficult to get in here. So next up, you'll probably see the Teflon tape already on here, and then we'll go ahead and start securing the fitting back onto the onto this blue fitting, the copper fitting back onto the blue fitting. Okay, as you can see now, we have the Teflon tape on our blue fitting. At this point, it's time to go ahead, grab our little copper fitting, if I can find it, and we will start to reattach. There we go. And we'll reattach that to our blue fitting. We'll just kind of, and we want to be careful when we do this. We don't want to cross thread our fitting onto this blue section. So you can kind of feel whether or not it's going on correctly. You just have to use it by feel. And the challenge with some of this stuff is you really don't want to have to redo it several times because you'll mess up the Teflon tape or the fittings. So as you can see, it took me a little bit to get it started, but now it's feeding onto there pretty nicely. And at this point, I've got it pretty much finger tight. Then I'm going to give it a little bit extra with the channel locks. Not too much because I don't want to break this fitting, or a little, too much is too much with these types of fittings. So I'm just going to snug it up just a little bit, and then we'll go from there, and we'll give it a try. So that's just a little bit more than finger tight. I'm going to give it just a little tad more until, I don't know, give it just a little bit, and we're good to go. I think that's in there snug enough. We got the Teflon tape on here. I'm going to dry it off real good, and then I'm going to go ahead and run the dishwasher again and see if we get any leaks before we start to put it back together. So there we go. That was that. We'll give it a try again. Let's see if we still have a leak. If we do, then we'll have to look at something else. Thanks. Okay, so I crawled my fat body back underneath the sink here, turned the water back on. I'm ready to test this again. So let's just open this up. We'll go ahead and start it, close it, and let it do its thing. I'll let it start running in 15 minutes, half an hour or so. I'll look at it again, and we'll see if we can't see if there's a problem. Okay, we've been watching this and checking this as the dishwasher ran this last time. Everything has been dry throughout the entire cycle. I can say that I'm confident at this point that we're good to go, and that just tightening this fitting here, adding the tape on here, the Teflon tape has done the job. So I think we're good. We're going to put it all back together and call it good. Thanks for joining us today. Okay, one more little job around the house here that we've done with the cheap old fart. If you like what we're doing, if it's helpful, if it's entertaining, or if you just want to send me a little message, go ahead, drop a comment in the comments section. You can like us, subscribe, ring the bell, do whatever it takes, and we'll see you next time.